into. And since that, we had a budding, flourishing relationship, been best friends our whole lives. Obviously, life got in the way. You go to college, you get married, you start businesses, things happen. Fittingly enough, our midlife crisis brought us back together, hence the name. We're older than most people in this space, but we found NFTs about a year ago, and then we said, you know what, we're really gonna create a company. As we get more connected, as we go into the metaverse, what we're about to do is meeting new people, having real raw conversations. We think it's gonna become a lost art. So we're here to make that happen, to bring it all to you, and to help you expand, learn, and grow. And we came up with a very simple mission statement. That mission statement is to bring back the lost art of genuine human connection. And I got one last thing to say, and I'm dead serious when I say this. I genuinely, and Maddie genuinely believes we were put on earth to do exactly what we're doing now. We love doing this. We love meeting new people, and it just gets us so freaking excited. We think you as family, and we love you all. So, at the base and the heart of Midlife Crisis, not gonna lie, it's Mikey G and Maddie Mintz. And why it is because over 30 years ago, I met this crazy SOB at the 4th grade bus stop. I swear to you, when I first laid eyes on this dude, he was perpendicular to the ground, or not perpendicular, like horizontal to the ground, hanging at a 90-degree off a stop sign. And I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And since that, we had a budding, flourishing relationship, been best friends our whole lives. Obviously, life got in the way. You go to college, you get married, you start businesses, things happen. Fittingly enough, our midlife crisis brought us back together, hence the name. We're older than most people in this space, but we found NFTs about a year ago, and then we said, you know what, we're really gonna create a company. As we get more connected, as we go into the metaverse, what we're about to do is meeting new people, having real raw conversations. We think it's gonna become a lost art. So we're here to make that happen, to bring it all to you, and to help you expand, learn, and grow. And we came up with a very simple mission statement. That mission statement is to bring back the lost art of genuine human connection. And I got one last thing to say, and I'm dead serious when I say this. I genuinely, and Maddie genuinely believes we were put on earth to do exactly what we're doing now. We love doing this. We love meeting new people, and it just gets us so freaking excited. We think you as family, and we love you all. So, at the base and the heart of Midlife Crisis, not gonna lie, it's Mikey G and Maddie Mintz. And why it is because over 30 years ago, I met this crazy SOB at the 4th grade bus stop. I swear to you, when I first laid eyes on this dude, he was perpendicular to the ground, or not perpendicular, like horizontal to the ground, hanging at a 90-degree off a stop sign. And I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And since that, we had a budding, flourishing relationship, been best friends our whole lives. Obviously, life got... Whoa. What up, folks? How's it going? Midlife Crisis here. We're freaking excited. We got 3,500 spots that's coming on in a little bit. But first up, Maddie, how you doing, my man?
They're doing good, man. We just talked a few hours ago, doing some content, doing some pre-recorded stuff. So got a nice little fresh dinner, hot dinner. That was always exciting. But dude, you know those weeks where it's supposed to be rainy all the time, and then you get that one sunshiny day? That was today, man. So I'm feeling real nice.
I'm glad that you're feeling real good.
How about you, man?
Dude, I'm feeling real nice, like always. I always feel fantastic. I had, it's a little cloudy, not too sunny here in Southern California, San Diego, but you know what? I got a new boss, a brand new job. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but that's what I do with my life because I got MLC, I got crypto, I got awesome people like 3,500. So that's going to keep me freaking going, baby.
There you go. There you go.
So,
Nice.
so before we get into the world famous midlife crisis question, I got a couple bullet points about our friend 3,500. Spots will be coming on in a little bit. Since he's been on the show already, we have an opportunity, a very unique opportunity to dive a little deep into 3,500's background, get a little bit about his human aspect, what makes that heartbeat and that beautiful jacket that he's got on and that beautiful ass hat. But before we go there, couple things. This dude started his own recruiting firm for well over 15 years, been in the running, hardcore entrepreneur. Those are the types of people we like to talk to because they have amazing life advice. Second, dude straight up techie. From Fortnite to Bitcoin, the dude just messes around on the internet, loves computers. And then finally, fun little fact that you all probably didn't know about 3,500, double deck black diamond, confident ass skier. Do not mess with him on the slopes. 3,500, welcome to the show. How you doing, my man?
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. This is, it's kind of fun to be back. And, thanks for commenting on my jacket. If you don't know, you don't know. But this is a Steve Aoki Nyan Cat special. And I wore this just for you guys in Spasta.
Love it.
Thanks for having me. So, yeah, I mean, you guys, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I could talk forever. So
Wow.
I guess you have a magic question or two.
You're on the right show.
You want to know.
You are on the right freaking show, man. And we're going to go straight into a world famous midlife crisis question. How did you get to that seat you're sitting in today with that beautiful ass jacket? Please give us Star Wars episode 1, 2, and 3. 1 being your childhood, 2 being your professional career, 3 Web3 and beyond. So hit us, man, and we'll go from there.
Childhood. I don't know how deep we're going to get, but I grew up in a big family, multiple siblings, and grew up in and around New Jersey, New York, in New York now, and went to school, Maryland, and studied communication, started a company. I was very into technology and sales, and I found myself in the recruiting industry. Eventually got to a point where I started my own company. And I'll jump ahead to Web3. One day, someone that I work closely with comes into my office and says, "Hey, I went out to dinner with someone. We need to get punks, friends, and horses." And I was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And this was like April, May 2021 timeframe. And I remember I had some Bitcoin just from like hearing about it. Might have bought I think 5 Bitcoin, like below $1,000. Nothing. I wasn't too early or whatever. But when I heard about the stuff with digital horses that run, I heard about CryptoPunks. I heard about the VFriend drop that was coming out. I had, in a very scary way, like kind of converted some Bitcoin into ETH, made a couple moves. Was kind of obnoxious about my moves. I went for like a top horse, never raced it, never bred it. I still have it, Z1 and a Z2. Got a CryptoPunk, got 2 actually at the time. I picked up, and then I was actually messing in the Zed Discord. Are you guys familiar with Zed Run?
I said run, but hold on. I do have to rewind a little bit. Now, you went from big family to University of Maryland. By the way, I got my master's at University of Maryland. Did you go to school in Maryland? Did you go to the Terps? Did you go to University of Maryland?
Yes, they won. They won the championship.
Nice,
basketball.
nice.
One of the years we were there. Yeah.
So we need to get a little bit of the origin story here because that's the magic that happens here. Now, you don't have to divulge a ton about your family or anything that you don't feel comfortable divulging, but we are interested in how do you get from big family in New York, New Jersey area to entrepreneur. So maybe we can rewind a little bit and let's start childhood, younger influences, right? Can you tell us, were there any mentors family members, influences that you had at a younger age that helped mold the mindset? We know it turned into an entrepreneur mindset. So what were some of those things that helped that mindset mold?
Um, I would first say my mom. My
Okay.
mom ran her own service-based sales business,
Nice.
and I watched her career, and she was always a mentor is and still is a mentor for me. Um, and I think you brought that up maybe a couple times since you said go and started this show about mentorship, and I think that's something that's definitely helped me tremendously through my career. Growing through the industry, through the recruiting industry, finding people I could trust and look up to and get good advice. And I think being humble, about being humble in any sort of workplace about your strengths and being honest about your weaknesses is a good thing, and seeking mentors and seeking out people that are either demonstrating to be more experienced to you or just straight up have more experience. Being open minded and being comfortable to ask someone to, hey, if you don't mind, can I pick your brain for 5, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and having the balls, so to speak, to just, out of nowhere, just ask someone, hey, do you mind helping me? And just let me ask you a bunch of questions. I think you'll find in life that people are a lot more receptive to that than you think, would be my big advice.
Dude,
That's huge.
I love that, man. And as far as like traits or any learning lessons from your mom in particular that stand out in your mind, you just shared some awesome insight right there. But anything that like from her particularly, like, I freaking am never late to a meeting because of her because she taught me X or anything there that comes up.
Just that if you want something bad enough, you could obtain it. Against all odds,
That's cool.
you could go after anything if
I
you really
love
could.
it. I love it, man.
Yeah. I think that growing up, it's a very different situation when people have at least one parent who was an entrepreneur. Different because you get it. Like you saw the hustle. You understand that like you never stop working, your phone, well, back then it was our house phone, but like you don't get a lot of time off when you have a business. And I think that children raised in that atmosphere tend to gravitate towards entrepreneurship because they already get it. Do you feel like that was maybe your situation? Let me ask you this. Did you study business? Was that something you wanted to study, or was it kind of a pivot to go into entrepreneurship?
I think I learned a lot in school because I worked through college all 4 years, and I learned a lot that way. And I also just tried to keep up with all my classes while working. And yeah, I mean, I think I have a work experience working multiple like different sort of sales and technical positions. Um, I learned, I think I learned quickly, what I could from where I could, so to speak.
That's cool.
Yeah. So,
What would
I mean, I
be,
don't know. College, it's interesting. Did you guys go to college? You go to a 4-year school?
We
Yep.
both went to Penn State.
Oh, nice. Go Nittany Lions. I
Yeah.
know some family members and friends that go there. Love Penn State. I think surviving at school and like getting the independence and keeping up with your workload and, surviving, so to speak. I wasn't a straight A student. I was probably more like a B student. I got decent grades, but not amazing. And I think you learn a lot real quick, when you're on your own for like
yeah,
2 to 5 years for people, whatever.
Yeah.
for sure. For sure. And then one thing I would ask too is because you mentioned sales. Was there like a particular, maybe you got I don't know, a job, a specific one where like it clicked for you that you were good at sales and then realized it was a skill you could develop?
Yeah, I mean, I learned like at like a young age. At some point, I went to like a call it a nerd camp or whatever, just
Sure.
and learning from pretty successful people. And one of them said, in sales, you either sell really expensive stuff, right? You either have a huge magnitude or you of like a price tag, or you have a huge amount of volume, But selling expensive shit or selling expensive stuff, a lot of people all over the country do it, right? I mean, just think about like a yacht dealer, right?
Yeah.
Like someone is selling a yacht, a few times a year and making a commission, or expensive house or something. So, I don't know. What do you got? I mean, but sales is different than charging per hour as a lawyer or something like that.
For sure.
Where you know what you're going to get. A lot of sales positions are eat what you can kill. So
Yeah, that is a good way to put it. Maddie, did you have another question? If not,
No, I love sales. I think there's a special area. I mean, so I cut my teeth in sales as well, and it's just a different breed. Like you said, it's not hourly work, man. It's feast or famine, especially when you're working 100% commission. And you have to learn quick. And I think a lot of us have either a mentor or someone who is good at sales. It's like, hey, here's the trick. Or I don't know, maybe you read a Dale Carnegie book. For me, it was the mentality of like the go for no mentality. Like no's aren't bad. You go from school where you try to get 100% in everything. And so it's like, if one person tells you no, it's very easy to feel defeated. And I was like, well, wait a second. If the closing ratio is 15%, you know what I mean? 85 people are going to tell me no, 15 are going to tell me yes. I just got to get through 100 people and I'll get 15 yeses, and like that was a big game changer for me. And then how do I optimize that and maybe increase it to 25% closing ratio? What are the skills I can develop? I don't know. I just always thought it was a
I
cool
agree.
skill set to
Yeah,
have.
one of the books I read a long time ago said something about like 17 no's usually get to one yes, just something like that. It takes getting no,
Yep. That's cool.
A lot of times it gets to a yes. That's for sure.
And so to kind of a little bit more about kind of who you are and upbringing. You said you were a tech person. Where do you think that came from? Is this video games from a young age, or where do you think that passion came from? And talk to us how that evolved. Can you not hear us?
Did you hear us? Oh, hey.
Yes, hey. Yeah, I mean, I just think computers are fun and cool. I had a computer when I was young. It was funny back then playing with images on AOL, like just downloading Grateful Dead images and stuff like that. Had no meaning, had no blockchain, it was just fun. Playing with computers. I think I was good at like Warcraft 2, old school.
Hell yeah!
Like, I was like ranked like top 200.
That's awesome, man. Little wartime strategy. I approve.
I think he
we lost camera.
I think he's on his cell phone.
Oh, got it.
So I think he's got some like notifications and stuff that popped up.
Okay. See if we can get him back. There he is.
All good.
Sorry, one of my kids were calling me.
It's all good.
So we got to get to the meat of the Web3. So this is not a Web3 podcast. This is an entrepreneur podcast.
No, it's a Web3 podcast.
It's Web3 podcast.
But we can't go to Web3 without knowing who you are. That is our shtick here. And so
I'm gonna get cut off at some point. So if we don't get to it, you're not gonna get the good stuff.
That's totally fine. So tech.
Well, let's fast forward through professional career. Just take us through. You started a company, recruiting, and your buddy eventually talks to you about like CryptoPunks, right? But before that, were you because Bitcoin was before then, were you at least eyeing crypto? Were you eyeing kind of what was going on in that kind of like this community, or was it just totally off your radar?
I lived through the
2008
first,
bubble.
yeah, I lived through that, and I had like, just a Coinbase account that I saw go up very high and felt a lot of euphoria. And then just like in COVID, rolled over in COVID, I was just like, this shit looks cheap, and not even knowing what ETH was about to do or like what it meant or what it was going to affect with art. All I remembered was that the numbers correlating to each other, like from last time, I was like, if this COVID thing and this Bitcoin thing makes sense, because I mean, I'll be the first guy that buys into Bitcoin, right? Like I like the math, I like the whole story. I think it's Michael Saylor is like the most convincing guy in the world. And so I was a believer in that. And I said during COVID, I'm saying to myself, ETH, last time it went up, Bitcoin went up, ETH ran nuts, and like the numbers, ETH will probably like go up like 5, 6, 7x, before Bitcoin could go up 3x. I don't know, whatever it was. I just thought the numbers worked better. So I remember buying like a bunch of ETH, like cheap, like just had it. I don't know, like 190, it's something.
Jeez.
Like, and not
That's
too
awesome.
much, but like
Right.
I just remember it wasn't, trust me, I didn't bet the farm or anything. I
Right.
wish I did, but I was
Right.
just like thinking to myself, this stuff should check out. This stuff should make sense. So, yeah, I mean, I wish back then I bought way more, but I like kept my eye on this sort of stuff. And my buddy, fast forward to my buddy coming into my office and me playing with digital horses and
Yeah.
crypto punks and getting ready for Gary V friend drop. I did skip over that I went to like 3 Tony Robbins events, which maybe I should have filled you guys in about that as well. But going in the Web3 direction, I was trying to like trade these crappier horses on Zed Run. And I was trying to like make friends in the Discord and make trades and whatever. And I noticed that like no one paid attention to me, right? I didn't have a profile picture, I don't think. And I was just like in there in the Discord. And all the cool kids in the Discord had 8 profile pictures. So once I learned how to like transfer my Bitcoin to my ETH to buy horses, I started to navigate OpenSea and I started looking for the apes, all these things that these people had in the Discord. I really didn't know too much about it. I didn't know people were on Clubhouse shouting about it. And I bought 11 apes, like just like that.
Oh my Lord.
Oh my gosh. That's wild.
Yeah. So then, like I had 11 apes. And I also thought I was like an art collector all of a sudden. And I bought a CryptoPunk. I had these 2 horses and I bought Chibi Genesis number 20. I don't know if you could pull that up on the screen, but it's number 20. It's the Bitcoin kid. It's like this 3D avatar. And it just meant the world to me. I don't know. I thought I was collecting shit and I really didn't know what I was doing, clearly. And funny enough, I had a Discord account from options trading. In COVID, I sprinkled in options trading. I took like, I don't know, 35 grand and made it into 110 grand. Doing things that I don't think people should be doing. And like 90% of people trading options lose, like 95% of all options. Here, I'll send you this link. You guys can pull it up on the screen. 95% of them all expire worthless. So if you don't know what you're doing trading options, it's just as good as gambling. And
where did you send that?
Doing that. To the Discord.
Okay.
So whatever. I saw this picture online. It was a chibi. It's guy has a Bitcoin necklace. I believe totally in Bitcoin. I love it. So I bought this chibi thing. It was actually My first Bored Ape was 0.39 ETH, and this was 0.4. So it's just a little bit more than the Bored Ape that I bought.
Wow.
And I must have been convicted to this picture. I don't know. Can you pull it up on the screen or not?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it, but keep on talking. It'll get up there.
Yeah, he's gonna bring it up live.
Cool. So, there were these pictures and they were just 3D characters. And quite frankly, I thought it was cooler. Like it was legit, like just this 3D character. Still didn't know nearly as much as I did. This was very early. It was May 2021. I just bought 11 Bored Apes for like all in. I think I was in for, it might have been like 16 ETH by all said and done.
Wow.
Right. But it was around that time. So this artist, he was putting them on the OpenSea store. They were not even on its own contract, but he was selling them week by week. And he said, hey, whoever has the most of these chibis, I'm going to give away an alien, whoever has the most. So
Right.
I was like into this hunt. I was into this game. Like, okay, whenever this guy releases his art, I'll just buy as many as I can. And next thing you know, I had 16 of these things called chibis.
Yeah.
And the same guy that walked into my office, by the way, came back like a few days later. He's like, so what's up? He's like, we're going to buy this Gary V, V-Friend stuff. I'm like, no, dude, I'm out of ETH. I spent all my ETH. I don't want to spend any more. I don't want to convert any more Bitcoin. He's like,
Right.
What do you mean? I'm like, I bought 11 apes. I bought all these chibis. He's like, what the fuck, man? I didn't tell you to buy apes. I didn't tell you to buy chibis. What are you doing? You're going rogue. You're going on your own, And now you're going to miss out on this V-Friend shit, right? Which, I should have been more prepared for and whatnot.
Right.
Anyway, that led to him being like, what the hell are you going to do with these apes? What the hell are you going to do with these chibis? And as the ape started, giving off dogs and spawning utility and, I went to the founder and the project creator of Chibis and I said, hey, Fabs, I've been buying all this stuff. When are we going to make these things like so much bigger? When are we going to blow this up? And he was like, dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. There's so much work to be done. You're just blabbing. You're just a typical project holder, bag holder who wants the project to blow up.
Right.
But you have no clue how much work it takes, right? Which
right.
He was 100% right. I should have just probably stopped right there. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. But I connected Spasta. I had met Spasta. He was a friend of a friend, and it was good timing for him. And we said, hey, we're going to make a generative collection. Because what we found out was Chibi's, the one I bought, which I want you to pull up on the screen.
It's up.
It was original.
It's up there. It's on the live screen.
Yeah,
it's just not on Discord.
Up on the screen.
But it's on the stream.
It's on the
cool.
stream. Gotcha, on the stream, man.
All right, cool. So this was on OpenSea's contract. So in general, at some point in time, we redid this contract to be its own real contract, and we switched contracts. But the first project we did, Spasta, myself, and Fabs, we did Chibi Apes, which was a collection of 3,000 units, and we made generative 3D avatars. And I think what we did that was clever that other people still have not delivered on, we gave everybody their own 3D files, their own GLB, and their own FBX. So they have their 3D character, quickly threw it into augmented reality, where you, on a phone, on an Android, you can be your chibi. You could put your chibi, on top of a car. You can put it in the street. You can put it in the middle of a baseball field or soccer field, whatever. You could also you could also use Mixamo, and you can make your chibis dance because you have the 3D capability and you have the 3D file.
Right.
Nice. 1 second. Spasta is in the VIP lounge, Mikey. I just want you to know that.
Okay. Yeah, let's bring him in.
I just want to let you know. I'm going to bring him in now. So, and then we can keep going here.
Yeah, this is great. 3,500. This is great.
All right, Spasta, what is up?
What's up, man?
What's going on? You guys hear me?
Yeah,
we got you.
3,500 was just on a tear about what the evolution of Chibis and the fact that he dropped 11 apes when he didn't even know what he was buying. Unbelievable story so far.
Is he still on?
He's on,
Yeah.
man. He's making shit happen.
He's here with us.
Are we on live?
We
We're
are
live.
on live, so
We are on live.
hold yourself.
What's up? How do I see everyone? I can't see everyone.
You got to turn your video on.
Oh, hold on. I'll bring him back.
I was just waiting. Oh,
There we go. All right. He's back
Yeah,
here.
there, we just can't see your face. You gotta hit the old video button.
Looking for it. I'm looking for it. Boom.
Boom, you got it. There
What's
you
up?
are.
We got it.
My
Look
man.
at that,
Good to
guys.
see that
My
beautiful
bad.
face
I was just
again.
watching. 3,500 was flowing. I was watching you guys on YouTube.
Yeah,
Nice.
he was
Look at
flowing
that
big time.
Oh, look out.
Oh, look out. He's got it.
we were flowing. I was telling the story. So what was really cool is I think through like networking, maybe a little bit of pestering, and also team building, we were able to quickly immerse ourselves into a new tech field known as Web3 and build a team with someone we had never really met face to face out of Europe, and who we later met for the first time at Ape Fest after working together for over a year or so. And we built this team and we built a community. And I'm being totally honest, we had no fucking clue what we were doing.
Yes.
I mean, we built this out of nowhere, and we made a community, and with Spasta and myself and Fabs and many other people that helped us along the way in the beginning. We sold out a project in like 20 seconds. We were part of that. Even though it was like the whole craze was starting to be over, the whole euphoria. I called it the Big Bang.
Yes.
It was April, probably like April, May, June, July. It was like post Top Shot.
Yeah.
It was like 3-4 months. It was the Big Bang. I think our first project released in August. It was the beginning of it all being there.
Yep.
What was it? September.
September 9th, 2021.
Yeah, man.
9/9.
Right.
That
Well,
was.
we still sold out in 20 seconds, and it was super cool.
It was like it was a mini bear at the time too. We've only sold into bear markets.
Yeah, that's why.
That's our specialty.
That's how.
Yeah.
That's how you do it, man. To sell into bear markets. That means you're the real deal. Okay, so that was the ape collection, right?
Chibi Ape collection. And along this time, I think what was also going on, and I think post-COVID, in COVID there was Clubhouse, and then post-Clubhouse there was Twitter Spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And Web3 was taking off in terms of everybody was an expert because everybody was up money, and everybody would go on Twitter Spaces and talk about nonsense, which they still do today, right?
Oh, yeah.
But back then, everybody was an expert, and the sentiment was euphoria. So no matter what anyone said, XYZ is going to the moon, and 30 other people with XYZ would gather around and all agree with them. And,
Yeah.
Twitter Spaces became this new medium that formed these new groups and communities. And I think we all learned about that, in that crazy of time in 2021 going into 2022. Moving along, we started to think about like digital identity, and I can't say we hit the nail on the head, but we did do something pretty cool. We invested in Decentraland, which for me, someone who believes in CryptoPunks and the archaeology of this digital painting and digital art, I think it's really cool that we invested money in Decentraland. We built a super cool scene with a great group of people from the Last Slice Collective, and we put our imprint on the digital, most decentralized video game system that's ever existed.
Yep.
Whether it's high tech or not, for the gaming snobs, is I'm not here to debate that. I don't give a shit. I think it's super cool. I think it's like it's going across the Brooklyn Bridge and spray painting "I was here,"
Right.
3,500, where like Chibi Labs is spray painting its name on the archaeology of what we consider Web3 and NFTs. So we built a place in the metaverse. We quickly learned from that adoption is not really there. There's just not enough users in Decentraland. We actually did reach new audiences and new communities for sure. And I think some of those people within that community appreciated skins that we brought to the table, or we made wearables. But there's just not a lot of people that care about doing that. And I think the metaverse today is kind of just Twitter Spaces, right? We express ourselves with just a digital picture as our profile picture. It could be a Yankees picture, a Mets picture. It could be a CryptoPunk that I own or don't own. It could be a chibi. It could be a headshot. It could be of a chibi. It could be lots of different things. And I think we're not really in a world where it makes where it's necessary for me to be full on character to have a conversation with you from my phone from Twitter Spaces.
Right.
It's way too easy to just open up your app, listen, put your phone down, veg out, eat something, take a walk, listen on your phone to a Twitter Spaces while you're walking your dog. That kind of makes more sense to the masses, right?
Yeah.
At this moment in time. So we continued developing. We developed Chibi Galaxies. We made another collection that was the apes with 3,000, Chibi Galaxies with 3,500, and then eventually we made Chibi Friends, which was another collection that started as eggs and then they evolve into babies and then evolve into pets.
Yep.
And their rarity depends on how well you have played the online Chibi Friends game, Chibi game, which is a pretty simple Web 2.5, Web 3 type of game where you put different characters and pets and eggs on different missions to earn points and travel different planets and galaxies. But a pretty simple game, proving out the concept of play to evolve and evolving our pets. And hey, Matt, how you doing? Want to jump in?
Well,
Yeah, doing well.
Yeah. Go ahead, Manny.
Yeah, no, he's covered this pretty comprehensively. It's look, I think, we've been building so long in the space. The space moves and evolves extremely quickly. We've had to pivot, we've had to innovate and create kind of new forms of entertainment, new ways of marketing, and it's all just been, something new at every single avenue. It's like every single drop, every single mint has required a different form of marketing, a different type of communication, a different type of innovation. It's resiliency in this space is not easy. But we're still here. We're still kicking after 2 years. Proud of it. We've got some amazing things that we're in the midst of producing because we have been building 2 years, and when the bear hit, there was only one thing to do, is to put our heads down and continue building technology and IP,
Right.
And that's what we do best. So we're pretty proud to be here. We've had some amazing partnerships along the way. We've partnered with Jadu. They were one of our first partners in augmented reality. We were one of their 5 launch partners alongside Meebits, Deadfellas, Fluffs, and a handful of other really high quality projects. We did a metaverse activation with Arizona IST, and we launched a partnership with Verizon last year for Valentine's Day, which we were just up for a Webby Award. The voting just ended last week, so we're going to find out if we won or not. But we've had some crazy wild accomplishments in the space, and we're super proud of it.
Yeah, man. I mean, a Webby Award from Web3 NFT stuff is pretty impressive. Let me ask you this. You guys have some of the more experienced knowledge of people that have been on the show throughout time, as in longevity, right? 3,500, you're talking about buying 11 apes when you didn't know what they were. I'd love to hear from both of you. Biggest failures and then learning lessons from those throughout your time building Web3 companies.
Biggest failures. That's a good question.
And what have you learned? And you don't have to maybe specifically give us, verbatim the failure, but we all fail.
Well,
we all made missteps, and you've learned so much. So one or two of those
Well,
learning
I
lessons.
think I think for us, the one thing we never wanted to do was sell out and, buy into like the phony hype machine in order to like pump our prices up.
Mhm.
So I've always been like extremely transparent with our community. Like our focus isn't on the floor price. So if you're coming to the Chibi community, that shouldn't be the reason. My view has always been build a long-term sustainable business, and over time, like, the floor price is just going to catch up and justify the value of the enterprise and of the IP that people are buying. Um, do I think things could have been different had, we paid and brought on influencers early, if we paid for certain skills and things like that? Maybe. Do I think we could have crashed and burned and gone to like, 2.5 ETH floor and then died out like a handful of other projects? Sure. But like, I never wanted to kind of sell out to who we were and, who we were at our core. So, I'd say it's partially a failure, but I feel, I kind of feel good about it because, we're still kicking at this point.
Right. Dude, you just did a masterful job of doing like your prototypical resume question is like turn a failure into a strength. You just totally did that.
Look, when I reflect on the last 2 years and I think about our failures, like we have continued to like pull rabbits out of hats, and continue to do things that provide for the community. I don't feel like I've ever really failed anyone, and if I have, I've been able to kind of make up for it. And you have this instant feedback loop in the Web3 space
Yep.
where you fail or you do something wrong and you have to pay the price for it immediately.
Mhm.
You get instant feedback and you have to be reactive like immediately. So it's like anytime there's been something that happens like that, we've been kind of quick to squash it and kind of move on. But
Right.
I don't think there have been any kind of real failures. I think we've kind of over delivered at every turn.
Yeah.
Look, the reality is we've built some amazing IP and amazing tech, and the problem is the community was not necessarily there. The
Right.
ecosystem didn't grow like we thought it would. A lot of money left the system. Had we kind of I don't know, maybe kind of latched onto more like Web2 tactics to start building something, that could have survived kind of independent of NFTs or Web3, but that wasn't really our ethos.
Right. Right.
So our plan is to continue building, and our next project, which is our most ambitious, which is going to be launching in the next couple months, is going to be something that the Web3 space has never seen before. I mean, we're building custom curated virtual worlds that people are going to have access to personally, be able to connect their wallet to, and essentially, integrate their 3D characters and assets into these virtual worlds, and they're going to have gamified experiences, and much bigger than anything Decentraland ever promised, because this is your own personal world, your own personal planet, and that's Gravitale. We're building it all in Unreal Engine 5. The graphics are completely off the charts. I mean, again, we're building products and we're innovating in the direction we think we need to be building towards, but the market may not be ready for it yet.
Yeah. And so that was beautiful learning lessons. And to you, 3,500, to kind of add in, take the word failure out. Maybe that's directed the conversation wrong. I'm really interested in those learning lessons from you as well. Anything to add there, 35, from the learning lessons from buying those 11 apes to, multiple launches and about to launch your next project?
Boy, it's what a long, strange trip it's been.
Yeah.
It's been a long time and a lot of work. I think under promising, over delivering, maybe is the key to, keeping a community happy. And I love what Matt said and how he phrased it. I like the concept of virtual gaming world or virtual gaming experiences, and creating something that's new and on the edge of technology that we haven't really seen just yet, when with Gravitale. And I think, having something where it's not just a metaverse to walk around in, but a place that you could play and gamify and change your outfits and control your avatar and that sort of thing, and influence your avatar, influence your land and the outcome of how things play out by gaming and playing. Hey, I can't promise that we're exactly right, but with as it's new,
Yeah.
and like Matt said, who knows if the market's there to support it. We could be extremely early, we could be right on time, but we're building and doing something that others aren't, and I think it's cool as fuck. So
awesome. Maddie, any thoughts before we kind of move into the elevator pitch?
Yeah. So I mean, because obviously both of you guys have a breadth of experience that's just more than most people in the space, right? I mean, a lot of people really got in like post maybe Hate Beast or around Hate Beast, and you guys have this whole story before then. And what I would say is, or I guess my question is this: we've seen a lot of people leave the space. You guys have lasted. Part of this kind of adoption curve is not only do we need to bring new people here to the space, but we got to keep people who are in the space here. And so you guys seem to be kind of the authority when it comes to longevity. Any thoughts on that in terms of how you guys have been building this ecosystem to try to keep people here, not just attract new people?
Good question.
Yeah, I think part of the problem with retention in the space is that a lot of people are in it for the wrong reasons, and they're chasing, paper gains as opposed to coming in for the right reasons. We've been building our community in a completely different direction. Like, we haven't really focused, like I said, on floor prices and people making money. So people came to our community because they loved art, because they were, 3D enthusiasts, because they loved building animation, and they wanted to learn. One of the other things that I've done, because maybe we can't provide that value monetarily, I've been educating the community and kind of bestowing them with my knowledge and wisdom that I've learned along the way as an entrepreneur. And we've had a ton of entrepreneurial folks come out of our community as a result to start their own projects, to move on to bigger Web3 projects, to to build in the space, to go on to bigger jobs. So, like, one of the main things that I've learned is, if I can't provide the value monetarily that people are looking for in Web3, maybe we could provide them with the tools to, be knowledgeable, to be dangerous, and to continue kind of growing. And that's the way we've really focused on retention and seen, people in our community continue to come back, on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's a
That's
great response. 3,500. Anything to add?
I was just going to say, right on. Yeah, I mean, and the instant feedback loop. It's going back to just playing it different. I think that we have thought this whole time we are playing it right by being certainly like very front and center, very available, having town halls weekly for 50 straight weeks, and then moving into bi-weekly and being available for questions. I mean, I don't think we get as many participants that come up to ask like questions or push, kind of like push the limits or challenge us as much as we probably should, quite frankly. But we've been responsive. We've been out there. We've been communicating. And I guess what I'm surprised with is that how unavailable it seems so many of the other leaders are of some of the huger projects with crazy volumes. It's surprising how little we hear from them. So, maybe playing it back, like maybe giving so much time and being so available, like maybe it's been generous, to be honest.
Yeah, man. I mean, we talk about this all the time. It's mind-blowing to me that you look at some of the bigger projects, and it's the fact that they aren't around maybe keeps them going. Any thoughts there? Or is it frustrating to you, or you kind of agree with that comment?
No, absolutely. I think part of the mystique around those founders, I think part of the hype around some of those projects is creating this perception that it's more important, that it's bigger than it is. I mean, I see projects that have maintained these incredible floor prices, and it seems like all they've been doing was just brainwashing their community to maintain those. And then when the community realizes there's nothing behind any of this, it's all going to fall apart. And a lot of this stuff is a house of cards, ultimately.
Yeah.
So it's scary to see people drink that Kool-Aid and, you know, fall for those projects. I mean, even some of the biggest projects who have delivered and returned value, it's a lot of bait and switch. They're giving you this token to play this game and to do this, and they're not really actually delivering any products. Like, there's no delivery. It's just like, you know, it's here's another airdrop and here's another airdrop, and it's like, where is this all going? It's
Right.
like, oh yeah, the metaverse, we're going to be dropping it in 3 years. It's like, what are we talking about?
Exactly.
So I, you know, I look, I think there's a lot of, you know, phony people out there who are leading these projects. I mean, people are maintaining, you know, 10 plus ETH floor prices for projects that have been founded by known ruggers, like people who have literally publicly come out and scammed multiple times.
Yep.
And it just shows you, I think part of it shows you how unsophisticated the space is.
Yep.
And it shows you how people are truly here for the wrong reasons, and they'll get behind whoever they think their god is that's going to make them money, and that's fine. That's just not what we've been building towards.
So, I'm glad you bring this up, because I've been having this conversation with Maddie and love your two takes, and I think it directly relates to this. I think part of our problem as exposure at Midlife is we do what is unsexy to the space, which is get to know you guys as humans, dehumanize the space, which we think is the right move for this space. But it's not sexy because we're not YouTubers telling you buy this hype project and 10x your back.
Yeah, we're not shot calling or alpha calling.
We're talking to the smaller percentage of the demographic in the NFT space. What are your thoughts on what I just said there? Agree? Disagree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. It's like we're doing the same thing. Like I said, we're not focused on, you know, hype and making money at the floor prices, and because of that, we're the unsexy brand. But
Yeah.
you know, you look at the products and the tech and this, everything. I had someone in our community reach out to me, and they told me, you know, a multi-billion-dollar corporation approached them, and they had built a game that they were extremely proud of with kind of Web3 integrations into it. And he hit me up. He's like, "Yo, the Chibi Friends game, like, shit on this game." He's like, and you guys built it with a small, scrappy development team, and this is a, you know, multi-billion-dollar, you know, corporate enterprise.
Yep.
And they don't get it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's crazy, but it's like, you know,
Absolutely.
as long as you could keep the perception around things and keep the rug going, you know, the people are happy until the rug gets pulled.
3,500. Any additional comments to that before we move on?
You know, I would love to hear what I feel like a month ago, or maybe it was 2 months ago, Matt Spasta, that you had so much excitement around the fun around Chex Originals, Check VV Edition, and you were saying that it would be run like Coca-Cola or just any of these major brands, if they followed some sort of blueprint around Chex, it could be like a major agency model. And it was just like beautifully said. It was such a good thought, but I think that's project has gone in a totally different direction. And it's, I'm not saying for good or bad. I'm just saying that there's a lot of different sort of opportunities. And, you know, I think maybe we haven't seen the big brands really connect on them. I think the Starbucks thing is like super cool. I think you got Matt Spasta going to Starbucks a couple times extra a week,
Yep.
you know, to play his Starbucks game or whatever he has to do. And I think that, you know, that sort of stuff is cool. And you know what? Matt said it beautifully before, that so many people are in it for the wrong reasons. They just, you know, there's a joke, number go up, right? They're just waiting and hoping they can catch the hype cycle up. Mm-hmm. What they don't realize is that if they bought something for, let's say, 0.1 ETH, or we call that 10 cents, and they are saying, I'm going to wait to sell it for 0.2 ETH, 20 cents, and double my money, and then minus fees, whatever. What they don't realize is there's some other person sitting at their computer that's very much okay selling it for 14.5 cents.
Yeah.
You know, for 0.145, clearing 0.04 ETH, in maybe 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and everybody thinks like that, and it's the number don't just go straight up.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
And it's back to your conversation about it really is the tech, the innovation, the right reasons to be in here. I gotta ask Spots though, what was that check analogy? I want to hear that beautiful presentation if you can remember.
Yeah, no, Jack Butcher comes from the kind of Web2 corporate design world, and I think the art and kind of the gamification of the way the checks provenance came together, I think created such such a unique aesthetic around whether it was NFTs, whether it was around kind of like the mathematics that kind of go into these different equations to create this beautiful like art formula. And I think that checks in general, and it's not obviously checks by Jack Butcher, but the check has such historical relevance to it, just given the kind of value and weight that it holds. And if you think about the story, a check and a verification was something that was earned by people, people in the media, people who are famous, people who have earned the right to be verified. And I think the impetus for Jack's project was when Elon Musk took that away and said, hey, everyone has a price, right? And he charged $8 for the check. Well, Jack basically said, we're going to mint these checks for $8. And he kind of launched this new movement. And when you look at kind of the simplicity of checks and the simplicity of, looking at 80 individual checks in, in a box, and the way that when you combine one check with the other, it creates a kind of mutated or burned version. I just thought it was so clean and beautiful, and I do think that the way that he was changing the metadata for the checks additions to certain things like Pepe's and Facebook or Meta logos, I thought was extremely unique, and I could see that over time being something that brands adopt and figure out ways to kind of gamify the experience through NFTs of creating different presentations of their brand and communicating their brand through art versus through things like commercials and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Well, if you think about it, we see Adidas now, we see Puma, we see Nike. I think last week, I feel like I saw them all. There was a Nike Murakami Flowers.
Yep.
There was a Adidas, its own unique thing about Adidas NFTs and stuff like that was all over Twitter. And then there was something today about 10KTF and Puma doing some exclusive. So with the footwear companies, I feel like they're getting it, that there's a really loyal fan base in these Web3 communities. It may not be millions and billions of people, but it's a certain kind of loyal fan base that care about collectibles and care about limited edition stuff, so to speak.
Absolutely. All right, so let's do this. Let's get into the project because we've already, believe it or not, been talking for a solid hour, and I want to get to the Gravitale too. So what we like to do to start off the discussion here is you got a 2-minute elevator pitch. We're in the elevator with y'all. You're going to the investor table. Hit us with Gravitale. Why should I spend my hard-earned money on this new Chibi Labs backed project? Either of you take it away.
Yeah, happy to. So we teamed up with a highly decorated gaming studio out of New Zealand called Beyond. Beyond is responsible for designing and building the Fluff Burrows. They are game experts. Building in Unreal Engine 5, we're building a highly curated, highly designed, high graphic experience for the Web3 user to essentially build out their digital identity, integrate their digital identity into Gravitale, and actually be that digital identity, your PFP, for the first time running around in 3D. We're going to be building gamified experiences that allow you to play to earn. There are going to be different types of things that you could earn over time, level up, increase kind of your trait capacity. And the overall experience is something that is the future. I believe, and I think we all believe that not just metaverse, but kind of interoperable experiences across different virtual worlds, and that's something that we're definitely building towards for the future.
Love it. That was good and concise.
Yeah. So let me just to break that down. What I hear you saying is essentially you're building the Oasis from Ready Player One. Not like Minecraft, not all janky, but like you're basically creating a user experience that's fidel, like you said. That's is that what am I hearing that correct?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the analogy, that's the pipe dream that we all like to look towards and think towards. The reality is that we don't know that people will ultimately want to do that. But what we are going to do is several iterations of this down the line, continue to build out these immersive experiences within the gameplay that allow you to unlock things that you've never been able to do with your 3D assets. Right? Like I mentioned, we have a lot of 3D enthusiasts in our community, the ability to now take this flat 3D image that's on your screen and bring it to life through this virtual world is something that you've never really been able to do before. And I think a lot of people want to kind of live and experience their kind of gaming and Web3 journey through their PFP. It becomes the ultimate flex, and I think it's something that people are really going to enjoy.
Yeah. And so when you say the word interoperability, are you saying that Gravitale will also be able to integrate with other metaverses and other explain kind of the extent of interoperability to you all and what that means to you?
Yeah. So funny enough, the group that we're building with Beyond, they're from New Zealand. New Zealand's like a hotbed for like Web3 talent. I didn't even really know this.
Gaming talent in general.
Gaming talent in general, yeah. Walker World is a project that we've announced as our first partner. Walker World's building their own virtual world in Unreal Engine 5, and you can actually see in our trailer the character porting from the Walker World virtual world into Gravitale. And it's not something that's going to happen day one, but obviously it's something that we're working towards, and being able to work with a partner like that, I think we're pretty close into making that a reality.
Yeah. No, I love it. And then going next, you keep on alluding to things that never been done before. And I know that under promise, over deliver, but anything that you can talk about, because there are people building games that are gamified. There are multiple metaverses out there. What do you mean by that, or anything that you can share as to why you are all different?
Yeah, so one of the things we really pride ourselves on is, our art development and the way our 3D assets and characters are layered. Something that we've been building towards is digital identity. We think digital identity is huge, and we're essentially building a wardrobe for you to be able to come in there, bring your assets, bring your traits, and be able to kind of create your super PFP with your favorite traits. So within the wardrobe builder, dressing your 3D avatar up with some traits that you have from your chibis. And as we go down the line and we start integrating other assets into there, for 3,500, he could bring in his Bored Ape cowboy hat, put it on, his Gravatar, which is like the default character, use his chibi assets to really create kind of the super PFP. And then over time, the goal is to allow you to mint this new PFP, this new 3D asset that you can then pull the 3D files from and take out of Gravitale.
I like it. So that is an interesting fact, and I've never heard to take assets or traits from other PFPs to integrate it into your ultimate.
Because you own
PFP.
you own that IP.
Yeah, you do own that IP, and we're finally using. We actually had a discussion about all of these projects say IP, you own IP, but no one's created a solution to use your IP, and this is a solution.
Doodles has kind of done that with Doodles too, a little bit, where you could pull the traits off, but you're only limited to Doodle traits.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
that's interesting. Okay.
Maddie,
Well,
you got something?
to 3,500, your point, you were saying, on the rewinding back when you were talking about how Twitter Spaces are and how people right now, the current kind of meta is people can listen to a Twitter Space and be really doing anything, but they're not necessarily sucked into the environment, right? And then you said, and they have a PFP, which could or could not be theirs. It sounds like you've kind of handled two of these things. One, you've created a reason for people to want to be engaged in there and actually be there because you've made it beautiful. But two, you actually have linked the ownership and the IP itself there. So now when you do see in your situation, for example, the cowboy hat, that immediately says something different than it would be if it was just a PFP on Discord, which is not verifiable or anything. It could be anything, right? Now it's like, oh, okay. And that there's a credibility, I guess, that you could say that comes with that. Is that, and that was on purpose is what you're saying, correct?
Well, are you talking about like the hex on Twitter?
Yeah, I'm talking about like what you guys are doing is making it so like Twitter where it's verified. Because you were saying in spaces, sometimes people will just show up. They're not really paying attention. The metaverse aspect solves that. But in terms of verifying, you kind of create your identity. And just like you have right now with your jacket from Steve Aoki and the CryptoPunks, the hat, it says something about you. And you're doing that with assets that you guys would actually own. What you're saying is you can do that across your spectrum of all your IPs that you own, correct?
Correct. And I guess the question is, right, if we all hung out in a land together digitally and I was a chibi and I threw you a chibi and you were a chibi and Matt was a doodle and Mike was whatever, a gutter cat, and we're all hanging out in a world and doing this YouTube like that, that would maybe be pretty cool, right? And it would all appear like a cartoon. And maybe some of us in this room, in this conversation, all four of us would think that it's really super cool. But would there be an audience, out there that also wants to see that? Right? Like we don't necessarily know.
Right.
But like, what if the four of us could be in a world and doing stuff together and gaming together and, nurturing land or collecting things together? That's a different experience than just sitting around talking. So, I'm hoping that a gamified social experience could be kind of with proof of ownership or expressing digital identity. I think that is, I'm not saying we're the only ones doing it, but I think that it's still a new area that's been untapped.
Sure. Yeah, and I think everyone said even the beginning of 2023 is supposed to be the year of the games, but yet we still haven't seen anything that is really caught on by the masses. Everybody keeps on promising they're going to make something interesting, but this is your attempt to do that. Maddie, any questions? We're kind of going to move forward to the...
No, we can move forward.
Okay. Tell us the details about, mint of what we can expect, mint date, all of the pertinence that, we can cut up for you there. I know you've said this a bajillion times, but we still need to just cover it quick.
Yeah, so we haven't announced anything yet.
Okay, perfect.
I think 3,500 has to go. I'll cover the rest.
Okay.
Did you wear the chain? Did you wear the chain tonight?
No, it's vaulted. Sorry.
No. Do you want to tell them about it quickly?
No, I think it's totally obnoxious. So why don't you just continue? It was nice to meet you, gentlemen. I do have to put a kid to sleep.
Okay.
You're the best.
You go do that, man.
Tried to stay as long as I can. Thank you all.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for what comes next with Chibi Labs and Gravitale.
All right,
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Have a good night and take care of that kid. Later.
Yep.
All right, cool. Later.
All right, so
So
I know you timing in
and
general or anything that you can divulge, and if you can't, no big deal.
So we're kind of at a point right now where we're reading the market. Again, we've been doing this a long time. We know that when the market's not ready for something, it's not there. We are in probably the slowest, most bearish Web3 market I've seen in a long time.
Yep.
And I'm reading the room, I'm reading the community, I'm reading my Twitter feed, and we're close. in terms of completion of the actual development of Gravitale. We're actually pretty much done. The other unique thing is we're actually going to sell and mint the world, and when they reveal, people could actually use them.
Oh my
I know
God.
it's great. It's a crazy concept, but we're actually delivering the product after we sell it.
My
What?
mind
I know.
is blown.
Sorry, guys. If you need time, take it. No, it's crazy to me that people have been able to get away with it. But we've been developing this for the last 10 months, and we have an amazing partner who actually got ahead of this, and they started developing these worlds even before we partnered up. But the reality is the moment people mint them, they could actually start using them, which is super exciting. And I think we're going to learn a lot, right? Our early users are going to spend time in there. We're going to figure out exactly, what features they like, where we can really focus on continuing to build, and just go from there. So
Yeah.
we had originally set out a date in kind of mid to end of May. We're still kind of targeting, Q2 as a launch date. We haven't announced the kind of full size of the collection and the price. But for the level of quality that you're getting out of this, the price is going to be reasonable. It's going to be right. We always do things like that. This is not something that's going to mint for half an ETH or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
It's we want it to be an entry level project that people actually use, and yeah, I mean there will be more information dropping over the next couple weeks and months around that.
Awesome. I love it. And you kind of just answered the follow-up question, which is what does the next year look like for Chibi Labs and Gravitale? And I think it is just building this. I do have a question that's kind of off because you have, again, yet such a wealth of knowledge. And I'd be really interested to hear you because this is like you said, one of the bigger bear markets we've ever seen, if not going to be probably the biggest one. What would you advise or say somebody that has really interested in or listened to you and said, hey, what 3,500 and spots are laying down is really interesting. What would you advise tools, actual things to do to get involved into the NFT space? Is it just Twitter spaces? In your opinion, knowing to find the right people and not chase the hype, what would you recommend that person to do?
I mean, it all depends on what you're looking for. There's so few trusted voices out there, as crazy as it sounds. I mean, there's ulterior motives everywhere you go. Every Twitter spaces you go and someone's selling something. Every, all the big podcasts and stuff, they're all getting paid to show things. If you're a collector, that's one thing. There are a handful of I guess, trusted people that you could follow. But everyone has an agenda. It's like, it depends on what you're actually looking for. If you're looking to break into space to be a builder, I would listen to what good project founders are doing. I'd read up on, what they're announcing in their Discords or what they're saying on spaces. But again, it all depends on, what you're trying to do in the space. But, there are a handful of decent handles to follow. But the problem is, I think even lately, the past couple of weeks and months have kind of been dedicated to like budding projects, exposing bad actors, pumping shit coins. It's just like there's not much to sift through in terms of finding like real quality stuff.
Right.
And I think part of the reason why the news cycle has been so negative is because the actual builders are really building right now and people are fucking bored.
Yeah.
And there's no blur activity anymore, so people don't know what to do with themselves. So they're creating hype and excitement out of nothing, or they're shit posting, or they're creating controversial takes, and it's a cesspool out there right now. And it's we talked about retention before. There's a reason there's not good retention in the space is because people come in and have horrible experiences and get the fuck out.
Yeah. And I love your answer. It's just straight up like it's not easy and there's actually not a good place. And that is an answer. I love it.
And let me follow up with it, because what I really love is that that was a brutally honest answer, and so I would like another one. Mikey was talking about how we try to go in and get to know the founders. You said yourself, one of the things to research would be get to know the founders if you wanted to be a builder, right? We're not, trust me, we're not getting paid in terms of any of these shows. I won't say there's no agenda, because I agree with you. I think everybody has an agenda. For Mike and I, from a business standpoint, it would be growing our audience, right? But that's because we simply want to get this information out to more people in the space. But our whole concept is like, I'm not able to break down, and I can't peek behind the curtain and know if you really mean what you mean. But I can give you a platform and let other people hear what you have to say, and they can make a judgment call. Maybe they believe you, maybe they don't. That's on you. That's not on us, right? That's our goal, is to expose the founders to the people and say, make your best call on these people. And if you follow the founders, you might want to check out their project. Do you think
Sure.
does that make sense? Or is this just going to get lost in the, it's not sensational enough in terms of the current weather that you see in the space? I'd just be curious, what is your honest opinion on that?
My honest opinion, because I've been doing it for 2 years, is the people who hear me speak and the people who understand like my experience and how articulate I am about certain subjects, like they're attracted to that. The people who are looking to make a quick buck, fucking flipping, rug projects, they don't want to. They don't want to hear a sensible voice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it really, to me, I've been able to kind of sift through who's here for the right reasons and who's here for the other reasons.
Yep.
Yeah.
And absolutely. I mean, there have been times that I've told 3500, like, let's just do like create a spin cycle about us, some really controversial shit to get people to, like, is that what works? Is that what sells sex? Like, that's what people want. It's just like, and it's stupid, but like, look, at the end of the day, how many 2.5, 5 ETH, 10 ETH floor projects have I seen that don't even exist anymore?
Right.
And these people just burn out. And it's fine, but like, there's a reason that I'm talking to the prospective investors that I'm talking to, that real people in the space. We might not have the biggest floor price and we might not have the biggest community, but I've attracted some of the biggest partners, and Verizon trusted us to help usher them into the Web3 space, and Beyond decided to work with us outside of the 5,000 other projects that reached out to them to partner with. And there's a reason why these things happen. And it's, I've been doxxed since day one. I've been coming onto, shows like this since, summer of 2021, before we even minted out our Chibi Apes.
Yeah.
And, at that time it was a novelty and people loved it. Now it's just like, I don't care. I don't care who you are. You can steal all my money, and whether I see your face or not, it doesn't mean anything to me. It's just like,
Wow.
it's look, I mean, I've been doing this for over 2 years now. I've been building in Web3 since 2017, right? So I've been in and around the space. It is an absolute grind. And like, the fact that I've been able to show up for this community for 2 years straight, I'm like, I must be superhuman. I don't know how the hell I do it. It's crazy. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but like, this shit breaks people.
Yeah.
I see people who have only been able to hang around for a couple of weeks and months.
Yeah.
I saw the founder of a kid called Beast the other day was like, I can't handle this. It's so tough being a founder. It's like, motherfucker, you came out and said some of the nastiest things to your community members, and you don't expect to get this kind of judgment and criticism from your community. It's like, you're not built for this, man.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I see these kids like coming out, and like, it's insane.
Yeah.
These aren't real people. These aren't real entrepreneurs. These people haven't been building. They launched a project and they raised a ton of ETH, and now they don't know what to do. So it's just going to be a slow rug on their way out.
Dude, you gave me chills with that response, because that is just no chills in a good way, as in like, you are validating everything that Maddie and I thought too. And I do think, and I'd love your thoughts on this, is as the space evolves with more, I mean, let's be honest, the demo's pretty young. There are a lot of people here that have a lot, a lot of time to sit on Twitter Spaces and all this other shit. As the space evolves, I think these real conversations, there are people that are interested as you as an entrepreneur will become more popular. What are your thoughts there? Do you think the perception will change as it's massively adopted, or do you think it goes in a different direction?
Yeah, look, I think the whole space is going in a different direction. Like, I think the days of like, the PFP collections are behind us. There'll be a handful of winners. There'll be people who are building real technology and real IP and, finding ways to commercialize it and monetize it. But I think, we talked about Starbucks before. I think a lot of the Web3 community and the direction of the community is going to be shifting towards brands creating projects like that help build loyalty and royalty and find deeper ways to engage the consumer. So it's just like this I think a lot of the stuff that we've seen so far is the novelty and the projects that aren't building real stuff. It's like, how long could you keep this going for?
Yeah.
Like, how long can you keep this song and dance going for before people are like, I just have I have a piece of digital art that doesn't have any sort of real world um real world utility, or it doesn't have anything that's claimable in a physical form or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
I always say, look at the floor of our Chibis. It only costs $100 to buy in. If you had to go to a 3D designer and build a fully rigged 3D asset, it's going to cost you like almost $1,000. And some of our Chibis, you could get them for like a couple $100, or
Right.
even less than that in some cases. So
Right.
it's like, if there isn't some intrinsic value to all of this and it's purely speculative and it's greater fool's theory, at some point the greater fool is going to disappear and your floor is going to go to zero.
Yep. Absolutely. Maddie, any thoughts there? Fascinating
No,
conversation.
yeah, no, I love it, man. These are great. It's great conversations, and to your point, I see why people gravitate towards the way you break things down, because it's good insight, and it comes off as just so very authentic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just really
Thank you.
there's no sugarcoating, and I think people appreciate that big time. And I think obviously you've already noticed that you've cultivated a community around it, so that's awesome.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Spots, I kind of want to just get you back on and we can do a one-off podcast and we can record it. I want to do the full, because every time we've had condensed times, because I think last time you were in NFT NYC and this time you had another thing going on. I want to do our full jam with you, which is like, give us your childhood story. Give us your professional career story, and then let's talk about the Web3 stuff that we just talked about, and we do what the real midlife crisis experience is, because I think we could have a fascinating conversation.
I think that context helps, right?
Yeah.
And I'm happy to dive into that. But just quickly, I started my career at Lehman Brothers in 2007, lived through the bankruptcy the next year, cut my teeth on a trading floor, found a startup business in 2017 in the blockchain space, sold it to a public company 2.5 years later. So like all of these moments in time have kind of been the culmination leading up to this point. We could spend some time deep diving into that, but I don't need to talk too much about myself.
No, I'm saying I'm
very
literally
cool.
another time we would do that.
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
here. I think
I'm
we
saying
would.
even another
very cool.
time. But whatever.
No, we would. We have a natural way of getting to a really good conversation. I think we could have a good one. Since it's been, we've been live for almost an hour and a half, almost hour and 45 minutes at this point. Kind of want to like give you a chance to close it out in the sense of anything else you want to share about Gravitale, because we're going to be able to cut up a lot of good video segments for you to share on your socials from the conversation we've already had. But anything else to add about Gravitale in the future over the next year?
Yeah, one of the things I mentioned, and I think you heard, is kind of like the evolution of this platform. This platform is meant to be like a playground. These virtual worlds are meant to be a playground. They're going to like evolve over time. We're bringing other communities in by helping them kind of integrate and rig their assets for use in our platform. We're going to be building gamified experiences for other communities who want to use this as kind of like home bases for their virtual worlds and their communities. So this is just the beginning. It's going to be a massive evolution over time. This is just kind of scratching the surface and what we're building towards for the future.
Love it. Awesome. Maddie, any
Oh, and the
thoughts?
other thing I just wanted to mention, so because this is obviously a Chibi joint venture, Chibis are going to have access to whitelist Chibis, depending on what you own, which assets you own, are going to be able to claim free land. So that's a little bit of alpha, prior to us announcing things. If people wanted to get into some Chibis at a cheaper floor right here, so.
Awesome. That's some good alpha. I like that a lot. Maddie, any thoughts before we kind of close her down for the night?
No, man, I think you've added some tremendous insight in terms of not just your project, but also just the Web3 space in general. Um, you said some interesting things when it comes to where the space is now, probably where it's going. Any other predictions on like what any of this is going to mean in the future? I'm just curious because you have good thought out answers. Any
Oh,
thoughts on like where this is going to go in the future with like just digital assets, ownership in general? Like some of the big heavy hitting things that people just talk about with this technology. Obviously, you've poured yourself into it. Where do you see it going? Any insight there? Anything worth sharing?
yeah, absolutely. And I see it happening before my eyes. I've seen this shift moving from, NFT projects to more so corporate brands who are leveraging NFTs like Starbucks. If you haven't checked out the Odyssey program, it's amazing. They have me doing things, shopping to earn. They have me, buying coffee to earn. They have me essentially earning these stamps, which are then, NFTs that after shopping in the store several times and doing certain things that they're asking me to do, I could then sell that stamp on a free marketplace, and monetize my shopping behaviors, which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
If One thing that they just did, depending on like your level, if you've been participating in the program since the beginning, you've earned a NFT now that grants you 30 straight days of free coffee. Now, someone could be grinding in there, just to earn these things, not necessarily care about the coffee. Like people in my community are like, I don't shop at Starbucks. Who wants this? And I'm like, well, I drink at Starbucks, so I want it. And all of a sudden, you have the ability to truly monetize your shopping behaviors. In the same way that we've seen kind of like the gig economy form, I think there's so many really compelling use cases that are going to come out of this for brand purposes, mostly around loyalty and royalty, which I find to be super interesting. But yeah, it's already happening.
Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
it. That
I
is
love it.
awesome. Very cool.
All right,
Yeah, man.
man. Well, I'm gonna let Maddie say his closing words. I'll say my closing words, and we'll call it a night. And just already appreciate the time because I know you're busy as hell. So, Maddie, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and I actually kind of said some of the things. I mean, the bottom line is that you guys, both of you, have a tremendous amount of experience, and I say that not just professionally, but also, I mean, in terms of Web3, crypto, and NFTs. I mean, good grief, just the resume, the resume 3500 was given. It's like, wait, what? The stuff he was buying into is wild. So you guys have really been around. You've seen what the space has to offer. And I think the fact that you guys are not only here still, but committed to it to the point where you guys are putting a project together really speaks volumes. And I meant what I said about longevity. I think that this space needs to find people who know how to stay and what that's going to mean. And you guys have positioned yourself to be a trusted space. You know what I mean? And I think that, to your point, people will notice that without the hype, without the spin cycle type news to try to get attention. I think people are going to notice that. And here's what's cool: it inoculates you against all of these kind of pushes and shoves that the space has, because people were here for that core of what you guys bring to the table, rather than just something that you shilled or some event or some promotion or a cool thing at NFT NYC. Do you know what I mean? And so I
Yeah.
think that speaks volumes. I'm excited to see what you guys are putting together. I've been waiting for, to your point, I'm waiting for this meta space or this metaverse. I'm waiting for this place to go that has all of this stuff. And if you guys are saying you're going to deliver, then that's what I'm looking to see. And you already have good ideas. I think some of that Starbucks influence might be part of some of the gamification that you guys are integrating. I don't know. Maybe that's just a guess, but I'd love to see where that goes, man. I think it's really interesting. Thanks for taking the time.
Cool. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was fun hanging out. Apologize for being late, but
Nah, it's all
it's
good.
always good jamming with you guys. And you have good memory. I was at NFT LA last time that we did this.
LA, it wasn't NFT
Yeah,
NYC.
or
It was one of
LA
them.
Live or whatever that thing was called. But
Yeah, well, I'll just add on, man. I appreciate the insights. I think you're one of the more real people that have been on the show. Again, lots of we've had hype. We've had big hype on the show, right? And it all usually ends not too well. I think people like yourselves are going to be the people that help move the space forward when it comes to metaverse gamifying things. So I appreciate your effort. I am going to hold you to, I want to do the OG, which is we need a solid 2-hour chunk, and we're going to see how you were born, went through childhood, all of your influences, and just you as a person, and then we'll talk a little bit about Web3. But I think it would be a fascinating conversation.
I'm down for that because then I could actually digitize it, turn it into an NFT, and like leave it on my gravestone. So if anyone wants to learn my story, there it is.
I love it.
Well, we'll
Always thinking.
We'll find that in the future because we'll cut up amazing video clips from that too. We're going to cut up video clips, social media ready stuff from this content. 3500 had a lot of good stuff to say. We believe in people like you. This is why we continue to do what we do, because we know for every 40 shit people, we get an amazing gem like yourself. So thank you for being you.
Appreciate you. Thanks, guys.
All right.
I had a blast.
For sure.
Have a good
Take
night,
care.
man.
Yeah, man.
And Midlife will be back in 2 weeks. We're going on vacation, people. We will be
Enjoy.
around.